Hello everybody, Dylan here. Now today we are going to be doing a comic review. Today's comic review is going to be the third of the Sonic Forces comics made by IDW, and this one is called Looming Shadow. This will be focusing on Team Dark's circumstances right before Sonic Forces. Now I'm going to say this in advance, this is the weakest comic of all of them I've read so far, and this is saying a lot judging by what happened in the last comic, which was Stress Test. If you haven't seen the last two comics, I'm going to have the playlist linked at the end of the video so you can go there and check that out. So let's get into this today on DHT. First thing we're going to be doing is taking a look at this comic cover. Now, this cover is pretty good. It's not as good as the first cover yet again, but this one's definitely better than cover number 2. We get to see Omega shooting off some guns into the sky, which is all he does for this comic. We see Shadow charging at the screen, which is a total lie because Shadow doesn't do anything in this comic. Spoilers. We see Infinite looming in the background, which is accurate. And then we see Eggman holding the Phantom Ruby. Overall, this cover looks cool, and the fact that the Phantom Ruby's light is making the cover light up, it's really cool. But it is a little bit misleading when you actually read the comic. So let's move on to page number 1 so we can decide this. We start page 1 being right outside of Eggman's base, which is the pyramid base, and we see that it's lighting up, and then we see an explosion in the next panel. That explosion is coming from Omega. He is destroying some of the new egg pawns. Now, Rouge tells him this is supposed to be a stealth mission, and he's supposed to be stealthy, but I don't know why she expected him to listen to her. Omega is a giant robot, a really wide robot at that, and he has machine guns for hands. Why would you bring him on a stealth mission? If this was really supposed to be you sneaking into the base, why didn't you go along, Rouge? You're the stealth expert, you're the ex-thief, why didn't you show up? Or Shadow, how he has chaos control, why didn't he just go on his own? Why would you bring a gunman to a stealth mission? I don't understand that. We then see Rouge telling Omega that Shadow is going to join in on this mission soon, and Omega tells her that that's not needed. Meanwhile, he is ripping apart some egg pawns and blowing up doors. This is the best scene of the comic. We actually just get to see Omega going to town. He's just destroying everything, and it's always great just to see him doing what he does. Eggman is freaking out, and Orbot is freaking out because they're under attack, and then we go on to the next page, and Eggman sees that it's Omega, and he's dealt with Omega before, so he calls upon Infinite, and Infinite just laughs and says he's got this, and you can see him charging up the Phantom Ruby. Now on the next page we see immediately how Omega has broken into this hallway of circuitry. Not very original of a place for him to break into, but oh well, the visuals aren't the killing part of these comics. But Infinite shows up, and Omega senses that he's a threat, so Omega's about to attack, and Infinite just lights up. He just beams a flash of light, and it stops Omega right in his tracks. We move on to the next page to see that Omega's connections have cut off, and Rouge is really worried, and she tells Shadow to get his butt in there to retrieve Omega and see what's going on. Shadow is looking at the pyramid the whole time. We then end this comic with Shadow hopping down off of his ledge, smirking, and then running towards the pyramid, and then we get the comic's title, Looming Shadow. So what did I think of this comic overall? It was really kind of disappointing. The only real good thing about this comic was Omega. It didn't really explain what was going on beforehand, except for that there was a mission. We didn't get to figure out who sent them on this mission or what exactly they were supposed to do. They were just here. Not to mention, it all happened inside of Eggman's base, and it just seemed very boring to me. The best part of this comic was Omega just having fun ripping apart robots, but that was only such a little bit of this comic. I get that it was only supposed to be 6 pages long, but yet again, issue 1 did this so perfectly. It had a story that had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and we got to see the characters progress as it went on. The really only character progression we get to see in this is Rouge. She is kinda just annoyed with Omega at first, but then she shows genuine worry when he doesn't respond. And we get to see Team Dark's relationship overall. But other than that, there's not much to this comic. It's really disappointing, and it doesn't hold up to either of the other 2 comics, because at least the other 2 comics were explaining something a little bit more. But I guess this could suffice for for a cutscene that happens before the Shadow DLC, and the Shadow DLC is to piece in parts of the story from the game. So yeah, it's just all a mess. The story is a mess, and this comic shows why it's a mess. So would I recommend you reading this? If you want to, but it is definitely the weakest of the Sonic Forces comics. This has been my third comic review. If you guys like these comic reviews, be sure to click on that playlist at the end where you can watch my other reviews. Not to mention, we had a donator donate $10, and I'm going to be reviewing a comic from Sonic Archie Online this month. So be sure to catch that when it comes out. It'll be in that very same playlist. If you also want me to review a comic, you can go on to my Patreon and see which issue I have up, donate $10, and I'll review it for you, and you can choose to be credited or not. So yeah, I just thought that this was a really good idea. If you guys like this comic review, hit the like. If you really like it, hit share, and if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and bye.